Thank you all for joining us. And we are now going to introduce ourselves. We'll start with the GPC team, and then we can let the counselors introduce themselves, say who you are in the school that you are a counselor at. So first, my name is Ms. Jackie, and I work as a post-secondary access advisor at the Emily K Center with the Game Plan College team. Then we can have my other two team members.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ms. Christina. I'm also a post-secondary access advisor with the Game Plan College team.
Hello, my name is Dwayne Campbell. I'm the Associate Director of Post-Secondary Access at the Emily K Center, and I work with the Game Plan College team. I think Rachel is on.
Yeah, she's on.
Hi all, sorry. My name's Rachel Worsham, and I'm also a post-secondary access advisor at the Emily K Center.
Okay, so we're just going to turn it over to the counselors, and you could just introduce yourself with your name and the school, please. Thank you. Jackie? Okay, can you, okay, so Miss Tamika Ward Satterfield is here. Do you want to unmute her, please, so she can introduce herself?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Tamika Ward Satterfield, coordinator for school counseling with Durham Public Schools. Thank y'all so much for hosting this event for us.
Thank you. Jackie, you can just unmute each person and then tell them that you're unmuting them. Is Ms. North speaking?
Hi, this is Charlene North from Northern High School in Durham, North Carolina.
Hi, Ms. North.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Jessica Redmond. I'm a school counselor at Jordan High School in Durham.
Hi, Ms. Redmond.
I'm Jen Harrell. I am a counselor at Southern High School.
Good morning. I'm Lydia Kiefer. I'm also a counselor at Southern.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Maychek, a school counselor at Jordan High School.
Good morning. I'm Roxy Sutton. I'm a counselor at Hillside High School.
Good morning. My name is Shara Settle. I'm the high school counselor at the School for Creative Studies.
Good morning. My name is Tanisha Mills Silver, counselor from.
Let me introduce myself.
Mr.
Yes.
Would you just introduce yourself with the name of the school, please?
I'm Zakia Omar, and I'm from Northern High School.
Did we miss a counselor? I think that was all.
Okay, so thanks all. Oh, there's another counselor?
Yes, I think someone else was about to introduce themselves.
I think it's Catherine.
Kathy Sebring from Riverside.
Yay.
So again, thanks everybody for joining us. The Game Plan College team wanted to check in with counselors as well as with students to see how are we all coping in this challenging time. I'm hearing a lot of feedback, I'm not sure why. But we just wanted to check in, and as tough as the circumstances are, we wanted to remind counselors that we as a Game Plan College team, we are here to support you as best as we can too. We want to continue supporting not just the students, but also you in whatever way that we can. With that said, we reached out to our students and we tried to ask, get from them whatever questions they had for counselors. We also have been getting from our partner institutions, especially colleges, updates about the decision day deadline, or with regard to tests, many of these colleges going test optional next year. And we wanted to make sure that you're aware of all of those different policy changes that COVID-19 has initiated. But we want to hear from you. We also want to give, especially Mrs. Ward-Satterfield, the chance to share any particular updates she has with counselors or with students and their families. We thought the best approach to this is to start by sharing some questions that students and their families have shared with us. And I'm not sure how we're going to navigate how these questions are answered, but if a counselor in particular wants to answer a question, feel free to give a thumbs up and we'll go to you. I think that's the best way. Otherwise, we'll just assume that Ms. Ward-Satterfield will want to take that question. And then we will then answer any question that you have for us. All right, so Ms. Jackie, I know some students have sent you a few questions.
The first question we have, well, we did want to check in. We just want to know, how are you doing in general? And how has this affected your role at your respective school and the relationships with students and families?
Well, I think that question then goes to Ms. Ward-Satterfield. Ms. Jackie, she's muted.
So everyone should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay. So the students and families of Durham Public Schools are very fortunate to have a committed group of student support services personnel and especially school counselors. From the time that the closure was announced, up until now, we have counselors that are being creative, that are thinking more about their students and their families and the predicaments that they're in, less about themselves. I have had the opportunity to have many conversations with counselors over the last couple weeks, and you know, to see them doing what everybody is doing, juggling their home families and their work responsibilities. It's amazing. I think, like many of us, a lot of our decisions at the local level are dependent on decisions that are coming down to us from the state level. And the state has been consistently, but maybe not quickly, rolling out some of those decisions. So we do have, we have a little more, you know, I think every day or every couple of days, we have a little more guidance about what we can do, what we can't do, what we're expected to do. But some of the counselors may want to answer more specifically because they're definitely more on the front lines than I am.
What about what's happening at Southern? Anybody from Southern wants to take on that question? Okay, Ms. Harold will take the floor. Ms. Harold, you can unmute yourself, I think.
Equal. Never equal. Never will be equal.
Hey, so this is Ms. Harrell from Southern. And I was just going to say I've been really impressed with the way the seniors have reacted to the situation. I think it's can be really overwhelming. A lot of them kind of on hold, but they have been really understanding about the uncertainty and are coming together as a class to figure out how they can support each other, taking care of their individual needs. So I've been really impressed by that. But just on a personal note, I definitely miss the most joyful aspect of my job, which is getting to spend time with them. So, wish we could be back in the school building, but it's been encouraging to see the way the students are responding.
Thanks, Ms. Harold. Anybody else wants to comment on this? What about what's happening at Hillside? I know Ms. Sutton is here. Well, Ms. Harkey wants to comment, Ms. Jackie. Ms. Harkey, I think you can unmute yourself.
Great, thank you. I think it's going to be the same for most of us, but I know at Northern, one of the frustrating things for me at least has been is the counselor's role is usually the person that knows what's going on or can give answers. You know, a student can come in and ask about anything and we can help them find the answers, and it's just been really hard for us because we don't have any answers and didn't for a long time. So I know I had a lot of students reaching out, asking about, you know, grading or college or anything before we knew it. And it was really hard to not be able to give them an answer. But I think we're getting more and more information and hopefully we can get back into that role again soon.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jackie. Do you want to go to the next question unless somebody wants to add a comment? Okay, I think you could go to the student's question, Ms. Jackie.
So we know that DPS has not stopped with the free meals to families. So we just wanted to know if you know of any other resources that we can share with students and families, because that's something that we have, realized that students are concerned about, having access to food.
And again, if you want to comment, you can just unmute yourself. So Ms. Satterfield, I think you want to unmute yourself.
So I know that the district is putting out information, and it may already be on the website. I'm trying to pull up the website now about sort of alternative feeding plans. The last call I was on about that was Thursday. I think Thursday is when they just made the decision, and at that point they hadn't released what the alternate plans were, or the members of the community that were, other than the fact that when students pick up meals today, families pick up meals today, they'll receive enough lunch for 5 days. And then after that, the plan was that some of the community agencies were going to try to pick up some of that responsibility. Like I said, as we continue this discussion, I'll look around the website to see if the information has been posted yet.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else in this conversation know of other resources for the students while DPS finalizes or shares the final suggestions? Sonia?
I don't know what school she's in. Oh, we got muted.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, Jackie, do you want to go to the second question, please?
Students have been asking about their final grades. How will they be graded? How will this impact their final grades for the school year?
So I'll take that one. Grading. So the state has released some guiding information for each district to use, with the idea being that grading will be very similar across the state. For seniors, and then I'll say that Durham Public Schools, we actually have a conversation this afternoon, I think it's at 3 o'clock, with the subgroup that's been working to finalize what our grading plan is, because there is a little leeway in the state guidance that needs to be refined for our students and families here in Durham. So what the state has basically said is that for seniors, this year's graduating seniors, they will only receive on this spring semester transcript 2 grades. It's either going to be a PC 19 or WC 19. PC stands for passing COVID-19. WC stands for withdraw COVID-19. The guidance being a passing score is for students who were passing the course at the end of passing the course on the day of the school closure. So March 13th would be our day. Now, the guidance is also very clear that the spirit behind this policy is for seniors to be given as many opportunities as they can to get their grade from not passing to passing. So the bulk of the effort in the guidance is definitely meant for schools to work with seniors who are not passing the course. Now, another important factor is that all seniors across the state have now been put on the state's general 22 credit diploma. So, you know, before the school closure, before coronavirus, students in Durham Public Schools had to graduate with 28 credits, and those credits, of course, had to be correct, you know, for English, for math, and all of this. But now the state is saying that districts have no option to continue to add on those extra credits for this year, that every student must graduate with the 22 credits. So that means that some of our students who have already earned their 22 credits that they need to graduate will receive a report card and communication about mid-April that helps them to understand. Well, we anticipate that all seniors will receive some kind of communication by mid-April that helps them to understand where they are in regards to earning those 22 credits and being available and ready for graduation. And I would say new information. So there is some, yeah, I have to remember, I'm trying to, yeah, that's about it right now. The grading conversation that we will have this afternoon will hopefully finalize information that we will share with our students and families, hopefully by midweek, which will go into some more specific detail about underclassmen, about will they earn a numerical grade or will they also earn a pass-fail. Some of that guidance is not clear from the state yet. For underclassmen, meaning grades 11 and below, the state really has not made a decision on whether or not those students will earn a fourth quarter numerical grade. I think the state is sort of waiting to see, get a little closer down the road to see, is it likely that we will get back in school? And if it's likely, then that may affect whether or not they choose to allow us to offer underclassmen with a numerical or just a pass withdrawal grade. And let me say this also, I guess the state guidance also specifies that the GPA for our graduating seniors will be based on final fall grades. So that's very clear cut for our students who are in semester classes. It's a little more murky for our students who are in year-long classes. So at the district level, we're having to fill in some of the gaps of that information. So that'll be part of our decision-making call this afternoon that hopefully we'll be able to fill out that whole picture by midweek.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Ward-Satterfield. Jackie, any other questions? And I see that there are students asking about ACT scores in the chat. Sonia asked, are ACT score reports coming directly from the ACT agency or our school? And Mrs. Harkey responded directly from ACT. They should be sent to the address you doubled in on your answer sheet. Any other question, Ms. Jackie?
Yes, are there any insights into how virtual classrooms have been working? Have they been a success? Any challenges?
So,
I'll speak on that.
Okay, good.
This is Tanisha Mills-Silver from Northern. We had our faculty meeting last week, and during our faculty meeting, some of our teachers did express some challenges that they were having with students consistently, like responding back to emails and even Google Remind and things like that. They kind of did mention though that some of the same families that they've had difficulties with throughout the semester are kind of like the same families that they're struggling to keep contact with during this time frame. But a lot of teachers did say that considering this was a time where they weren't sure about grades, that they were able to like focus on like a lot of topics and interests that students expressed instead of just quote unquote like traditional curriculum. So like I know one history teacher, she's got to explore like more women in history and more like social media things and things like that. So so overall I think the communication has been a challenge for everybody, but it has kind of allowed teachers to have some creative flexibility in what they're able to teach students right now.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment? Okay, Ms. Jackie, next question, please.
So for students who don't have access to technology or a computer, have you been providing resources, or how do you navigate the challenge for those students who don't have access to complete online work?
So some of the schools may be able to speak specifically to anything that they're aware of, because some administrators sort of handle things a little differently as schools were closing. They provided some different resources at the district level. It's my understanding that students who are enrolled in dual enrollment courses, so courses that they were taking at the middle college or university level, that we have ensured that those students have laptops and hotspots so that they can continue those courses. The other courses, we have not as a district done what some of our neighboring districts have done, and passing out laptops to all students. That is not the plan. We starting, I think it's today, I know they were making the information available at the end of last week. So high schools, at some point this week, I think it's middle and high school, it might just be high schools, are having work packets that are prepared for each subject area. Those packets are also available online, but will also have hard copies that are available from the school sites. So you'll hear more specific information about how to collect those work packets from your principal. And elementary schools, if I'm not mistaken, those are going to be mailed. I'm looking, yes, elementary and middle school packets will be mailed. High schools will pick up work packets, and that information will come directly from the principal.
Okay.
Will also be allowed to get information through their Google Classroom.
Would you say that again, please, Ms. Settles?
High school information is also being uploaded by into Google Classroom.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Jackie?
Will graduations be canceled or postponed?
Yeah, from everything I have not been a part of a conversation yet about postponing or canceling graduation. So I think, everyone is planning on plan B, plan C, plan D, but I haven't been a part of any of those conversations yet. And I think just a lot of that depends on, right, well, if we are able to get back in school after November the 4th, after May the 15th or not. November 4th, 15th, that's around his birthday, so I must have been thinking about him.
And in addition to that, so we've seen that some schools have started to distribute cap and gowns. Are there any specific school updates from different schools?
I know at Southern, we were sort of having those conversations, and then with the stay-at-home order, I think we need to be a little bit stricter about distribution. So we've had to pause that for the moment. But students should know, as long as you've placed your order for your regalia, you're in a good spot, and we will figure out how to get it to you before the ceremony.
If you are a Northern student, our cap and gown pickup is tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Northern, but kind of same as what Ms. Harrell was saying, you have to have paid for your cap and gown package completely. They're not taking any payments there, but we're doing it as a drive-through. So when you show up at Northern, there will be someone to take your name, and we will run it out to your car. You can't get out of your vehicle. But yeah, Northern is tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the school.
Any other update from any other school? Ms. Sutton, were you saying something?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was saying with Hillside, we have not really discussed how we're going to go about getting the cap and gowns that we already have at the school out, but it will probably be similar to the other schools. However, there are a few students who had not ordered their cap and gowns yet. I reached out to our representative with Herf Jones, and what he said that he's willing to do is to keep the price at the same amount that it was before we left from school, so students are able to still order them. They are a little bit hesitant just in case we do not go back to school, what that will look like. Of course, some parents may want refunds, so they have not determined what they would do in that instance. However, they did say they're willing to keep the price at the same that it was when we left out of school, which is a good thing. Prices won't increase.
Okay, that's good. And any other school wants to comment on what they're doing? Okay, Ms. Jackie, next question, please.
Yes, so what if students were behind in submitting their assignments before COVID-19? Are they able to make up at the stage, or is it now too late to submit outstanding assignments?
Students are still able to submit assignments. So if they, my advice would be if they know that they are missing an assignment, they should be working to complete and digitally turn that information in as soon as possible. At this point, I believe, I don't want to say the specific date because some of that will be finalized in our afternoon conversation, but it'll be a date near mid-April that we will allow third quarter work to still be submitted.
Awesome. And we do want to point out that Sonia had a question. So other states have canceled school for the remainder of the year. Is APS having this conversation? And you gave her an answer. So we're just waiting on guidance from the state regarding when schools will reopen. And
you know, I think one thing that I have been very impressed about during this entire process is there is a collective, a group of superintendents and district leadership from our largest school districts that are in very constant contact with North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, with the governor and his office. So no one is making these decisions in isolation. I think our state leadership has been very willing to hear the information that each school district is sending in and sharing about the needs of our students and families. So I have been very impressed with that.
The next question we have is, what do you advise students who need counseling services from home at this time?
Yeah, that's a big question. So most of our counselors at this point have let their school communities know, that they can be contacted by email. A lot of our counselors have set up Google phone numbers so they can have conversations with students. Some of our schools, and I think most of our schools, are moving this week to having some type of standard office hours. And counselors, y'all jump in because you will probably know those specific things better. But we do want our students to know that we are, our school counselors are still available. We have modified our co-located health, co-located therapy services to allow a more streamlined access to those services if we find that a student needs those. We have some community supports in place if we have students that are in crisis, and unlike being in the school when we are physically near our students, when we find out they're in crisis, we have some community partners like the Freedom House Mobile Crisis Unit, Carolina Outreach, Mental Health ER, I think it's called, that are able to help us when we realize that our students are really in need of some crisis counseling. And then I guess I'll add, and counselors, y'all jump into, a lot of them are, just trying to help students continue to prepare for what's next. And so they're reaching out via email, via phone call to find out what students are planning to do and courses to take for next year, so that those processes can move forward. And I think all of that helps students and families to know that this is just a temporary situation that we're in, that school will resume at some point, life will get back to normal. So I appreciate the work our counselors are doing in those efforts.
Any other counselor wants to add to that? Ms. Jackie, any other questions from students?
Yes, we have high score scheduling going to happen.
I can give an update on that for Southern. I think that's something that'll be really specific to each school. But for our rising seniors and our rising juniors, we have information about how you can complete online course registration for next school year, and Ms. Haith and Ms. Kiefer have availability for students to get some clarity on that if they have any questions or concerns. Our rising ninth graders are also going to receive an email about what they need to pick. So best recommendation would be to look to your individual school, maybe website, or reach out to your counselor for what that will look like.
Another question, anybody else wants to respond to that prompt? Another question, Ms. Jackie?
Yes, we have, where are the questions? What advice do you have for students and families to cope with at this time?
Cope, can you just say a little bit more about that?
Cope with regard to the isolation, the quarantining. It has obviously been tough on us as adults and as professionals, and I surmise that the students and their families must be going through these challenges. I'm glad that student asked that question, in fact, because I need some coping mechanisms, so I'll be listening keenly about how I can cope with this.
So this is Ms. Settle speaking. I have updated my website with just a piece of information that I get from everywhere for them to be able to remotely reach out to different services in the community. Every time I get that, I load it up to my website. I make myself available through either email, phone, or Zoom face-to-face for, if they, whatever services they need. I've tried to make sure that I express it as just not just an academic piece. If they're going through something that they need to speak about, then I'm still here to do the same thing we were doing when we were face to face. So every piece of information that I get, I try to make it available on all of our digital platforms.
Thanks, Ms. Settle. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think in general for the students who are listening, the key factor is not to make our current situation permanent. This is not a permanent situation that we're in. And we all have the responsibility of thinking about what's next and moving forward. And thinking about what our lives will be and what we want our lives to be like when we are able to not worry so much about social distancing and get back to normal and go places whenever we want to go. Setting ourselves up right now so that we are in the physical mindset, so that we are physically and mentally available to rejoin society when society opens back up. I think it's continuing to think about those things that we're grateful for. One thing that personally I have figured out that I need to do, and this is my week to do better with it, is to come up with a schedule, because my schedule has been sort of all over the place these first few weeks of school closure. So that's what I have to do better with is, designating a specific time that I'm going to wake up, a specific time that I'm going to eat lunch, a specific time that I'm going to go outside, because I'm a personally just a night owl. I could stay up all night, and that's not good, right? Because we still have work that has to be done from home. So, that's my tip, is come up with the schedule.
I must say though, Ms. Watts Satterfield, that I've created schedules and they've been dismantled each day. I'm a very organized person when it comes down to making a things to do list, but for whatever reason, I just can't abide by that schedule. Any other counselor want to share?
I was just going to say my piece of advice for students would be to be really honest with your family about how you're feeling. That, like Ms. Ward Satterfield said, this is a really unique situation. It's temporary, but we're recalibrating a new normal, and it's okay to express to your parents or to your siblings if you're struggling and having a hard day, and sort of talking about that. I think on social media, there's a lot of tips for how to be positive, which is really wonderful, but it's also okay to share with a friend if you're not feeling that way.
And I just want to say one more thing before we move away from this. My 11-year-old put something into perspective for me that I had never really even thought about. In our conversations about this, he said, well, Mom, what did y'all do when y'all had to do this when you were younger? I said, Josiah, we've never had to do this. I said, no, I said, this is new for us too. He said, so how do we know what to do? I said, well, we take it step by step every day. And so that's what everyone is doing around you. And it helps to remember that. None of the grown-ups got the plan. We are all stepping this thing through together. If you talk to someone and they kind of look at you in confusion, just know that we're all talking to people who are looking at us that way. Working this thing out. We don't expect you to know anything. As a student, we're not going to put anything on your shoulders that we can shoulder ourselves. Take the worry off of your shoulders. For us that are making lists and making plans and don't really get to them, it's all right. If you got to a couple things on that list, pat yourself on the back and try again tomorrow.
Thanks for that, Ms. Seto. Anybody else?
Yes, this is Ms. Kiefer, and something that I talk about with my students a lot is the idea that we as human beings like to be in control, and we like to have a feeling of control, and there are certain things that we can control, kind of like Ms. Settle was saying in this circumstance, but also letting our students know that it's okay sometimes to not have that feeling that things are under control. And I get a lot of students every day asking me questions about like, well, what's happening with this, and this. We don't know yet about a lot of the things, and that's okay. We're all in the same boat together. That doesn't mean that we won't know eventually, but that sense of discomfort and lack of knowledge about the future is a normal feeling in this time, and we're all in that together.
Thanks for that insight, Ms. Kiefer. Anybody else? Ms. Jackie, any other question?
No, that was all the questions that we received.
Okay, all right, thank you. We however have two more people who are in the conversation who want to share the ideas. We will first turn to Ms. Anjanette Miller, who is our test prep expert, who supports Emily K Center's work and many of your students. So I know Ms. Miller is on mute now, but I hope she knows she can unmute herself. But Ms. Miller, how has this affected the test prep services that you've been offering to our students?
Hi, good morning. Well, unfortunately, so many of the students that were preparing for that SAT on March 14th, I mean, it just immediately was canceled. And then it looks like all the national administrations are being put on hold for now. I think the June test is still up as you can register, but I don't know as an organization what they're going to do nationwide. I mean, if things kind of calm down, if they'll allow some administrations in some areas and avoid hotspots. We just don't know for the June testing for SAT or ACT. And then again, we have the July ACT. But I think all of this is going to be a bit fluid, like everything else in any corner of our lives, where we're just going to have to take it, day by day, week by week, because as we see more of the universities offering the test optional component especially for the seniors for next year, that may kind of push into the fall or even next year. I know that the GRE is allowing students to download like Proctor software. Students can actually take the GRE in their home if they've downloaded software. So I'm going to be watching for that too from College Board and ACT, wondering if that's something that they're going to start working on to allow these tests to still possibly be even administered in small spaces or and I'd love to hear if anybody else has picked up on any news in that capacity. But GRE so far is the only one. I know MCATs were canceled and LSATs were canceled, but I haven't heard anything about if any of those organizations will also follow suit with GRE to think of some way to offer a software to download. So as far as test prep, it's pretty, I mean, it's non-existent. It's really not even needed. I'm not encouraging any of my even private students that I was working with from other schools outside of Durham. We're just not working on it. It's not a priority for them right now because we just don't know if and when they can take it. We'll reevaluate as we go week by week. And most of my students know we're touching base probably mid to end April to watch to see if that June or July test will still be available, and then ramp back up at that point, depending again on the schools that they are going to apply to. Some of them will be test optional, so we need to weigh, weigh the strategy about doing that, looking at other components of their application, their essays, their GPAs, their letter of recommendation. Is the test actually needed to help? And maybe then we look at that as a course of action. And if it won't, there are many students, their GPA and their letters of record actually going to be stronger than a potential test score. And then we look at those test optional schools and start communicating with the admissions officers.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Miller. Well, I'll now turn to Dr. Anderson from the Emily K Center. She's our Chief Program Officer. And my question for you, Dr. Anderson, is what exactly is the Emily K Center doing in continuing to support students and their families?
All right, good morning to everybody, and glad I was able to join you, and thank you all so much for everything that you're doing to continue to support students. I would say we have kind of had a threefold approach. One has been what you see happening here with Game Plan College, who has just done an outstanding job of not missing a beat in terms of continuity of services to the students, as well as to our community partners and to counselors. So I think it was really important for us to just kind of, try to act as quickly as we could to make sure that we can have a continuity of services, especially in working with our students. Count on, having their people. They have their Emily K people, and it's important for them to know that their Emily K people are still here with them. So outside of Game Plan College, our other three programs have also been providing virtual services to students. At the outset, one of the immediate needs that we saw was helping our college students get back home safely. So of course, for students who were up in Boston and, maybe had bought a plane ticket for mid-May and now needed to switch that and, just make that happen all very quickly, there were a lot of expenses that were encumbered. So we've had to be a lot more flexible with our emergency funding. We've always had an emergency funding plan in place. It's a limited budget for kind of gaps in basic needs, but we've sort of reevaluated how we can be more flexible in meeting the greatest needs with those funds and getting help to students and to families very quickly. So that's been an adaptation that we've made. We've also surveyed our families just to really kind of know what their most pressing needs are and how they're getting their most useful information, and so that we can know where we need to stand in the gap, for our families. And so we're analyzing that data now and have had some really good insights from that data. We also have a part-time social worker who's been really busy in terms of helping our families get connected to basic needs in the community. And so we've been really busy. I mean, I think like all of you, there was no time to miss the beat. We just kind of had to spring into action and kind of work within the unfamiliar territory for the purpose of just helping our students and our families feel okay and be okay. One thing that I've liked that I've seen happening, so for example, with our Scholars to College, and many of you have students in our Scholars to College high school program, we are still doing the biweekly check-ins with them. They're still meeting with their college readiness counselors. We're also doing weekly curriculum nights, and it not necessarily happening during the evening, but that's been really important, I think, too, because, students are, of course, missing that social interaction. So helping them not only, as Game Plan College is doing and as you're all doing, helping our students stay focused on this crisis is going to end. And when it does, we don't want you to have missed a beat in terms of really pressing forward with the personal goals that are important to you. But they're also just missing hanging out with their friends. And so, creating those spaces where they can have those healthy social interactions as well with their students has also been a part of what we're doing. So I think in general, that's how I'd summarize what we're doing is really just trying to stay in really close contact with all of our students and families, let them know that we're here, and just be really adaptable and flexible in terms of the support that we're offering.
Okay, thank you so very much, Dr. Val. And thank you so very much, particularly to our counselors, and not to be outdone, thank you to our students who have also joined. Because the Game Plan College team and the Emily K Center generally truly believes in continuous support to all our stakeholders, and because we believe we should demonstrate that we care for people and their time, our team decided that we would give each of the counselors participating a $25 gift card. We will email that to you, including you, Ms. Ward Satterfield. We will email that to you. And this is just to have yourself whatever favorite thing you like to do, whether it's drinking coffee or buying candies or cake, or, well, those are my favorite things. But whatever you like, it is just our way of saying thank you, that we're here to continuing to support you. We love working with you. We won't say we miss working with you, because we're continuing to communicate with you. And as you reminded us earlier, Settle, this will end soon. We'll figure it out. We don't know, but let us continue to support each other and remain in constant contact with each other. So thank you so very much. Look out in your email. We will get those $25 gift cards to you.